and thank you all for standing by. I'd like to acknowledge our EXPO attendees who are tuned in Zoom, via Facebook Live and tweeting. We are also podcasting live on Voice Radio, that's VOIC, uppercase ED. And hat tip to Stephen Murray for offering this opportunity for us to podcast. And thank you all for joining us today. My name is Jocelyn. I am a moderator and a facilitator for Engagement. I'll be speaking with you all, what you're passionate about for the next 75 minutes. And I would like to encourage you to really tell us all about the different post-sec education options in Ontario. Before I get started, I'd like to give the floor to you guys. Tell us a little bit more about what you do and what institution you represent in the panel. Start with Susan.
Oh, you're starting with me?
Yes.
Well, as was mentioned, my name is Sue Loveless, and I work for the Mississauga Business Enterprise Center. I'm a small business and entrepreneurship consultant, and we provide business plan reviews, business consultations. All of these are free to anyone looking to start a business. We're basically a one-stop shop for people who are in the concept stage of their business, looking for guidance, mentorship, and support. We also currently have 2 grant programs available to clients, and I'm sure I'll be talking about those a little bit later. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I started my entrepreneurship journey at age 5 when I found out that my mother could get 2 cents for every bottle she returned to the grocery store. I got my little wagon and I went door to door, didn't tell her, picking up bottles and bringing them home and saying, look, Mom, look what I found. I'm not recommending that you send your little babies out to look for money, but you could probably tweak it a little bit if your son or daughter comes to you and wants money for a school trip or a charity. Maybe you could find a way to help them supervised, raise some money. I went on to the babysitting bug at about age 10. I managed to hold out for the highest bidder on New Year's Eve. I even got snacks thrown in. Then I found I could make more money if I had all of the kids dropped off at my house on New Year's Eve. So I don't know what it was. I was just entrepreneurial from day one. And through school, I worked in restaurants, loved restaurant work, paid for university and college. Then I decided I wanted to buy a restaurant. That was the hard part, coming up with the money, coming up with someone, because I didn't have any at the time. So then I looked at Domino's Pizza as an option and went through their training, and they financed me 100%. And I bought a bankrupt pizza store in 1989. And over 24 years, ran the store and had it successful in about 6 months. Are there any secrets? Am I an entrepreneurial icon? No, but I did the basics. Customer service, image, determination, knocking on doors. I even looked through people's recycling boxes, and if I saw competitors' pizza boxes in there, I'd knock on their door and hand them a coupon. So it took a long time to get this going. After 5 years, I was quite successful. I sold my business 4 years ago, and it was one of the top 20 stores in Canada. So very proud of that. And now I'm helping others realize their dreams. I have 3 grown children, and they're all vastly different. And if anyone is looking for help or guidance, I'd be happy to help. Just come visit us. We're at the Central Library, 4th floor, Mississauga. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Clearly, we have a few tidbits to learn from you about resourcefulness and negotiation tactics. So we will focus on that later on. And sorry.
Good day, parents. My name is Sergeant Chris Gillis. I'm a military recruiter. I've spent the last 15 years as a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. I spent 12 years in Edmonton with the regiment that I'm proud to represent called the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. Through there, I went from a high school dropout. No, I'm not encouraging that or condoning that. I'm just speaking from a little bit of credibility on this. From someone who kind of lost their way to someone who became a successful and respected military member. I spent 12 years at the battalion in Edmonton, traveling all over Canada, training. I've had the honor of deploying twice for the Canadian Forces on 2 different international operations. I spent the last 3 years working as a military recruiter in the Canadian Forces Recruiting Center in Hamilton. So I'm representing sort of the Canadian Forces Recruiting Group, which is one of our commands. That's who I work for. And my job is to get the word out there about what kind of opportunities the Canadian Armed Forces has. We're going to get into it later with some of the questions and answer sessions, so I don't want to steal my thunder right now for that. But like I said, I've got a wealth of experience, and my job is to make sure that as parents, you know that the military isn't that scary of an organization. Yes, basic training is, but it serves a purpose, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's to show you the well over 100 different career options, the extremely lucrative education subsidization programs, and the fact that they turned a high school dropout like myself, who stepped here down to here, into the military recruiter speaking to you this afternoon. So that's all I'll say on that. Thank you very much. I look forward to this discussion today.
Thank you, Sergeant Gillis, and thank you for your service. And to your point, like I was a cadet in my high school years, and they instilled discipline and spirit work. So
certainly will.
There certainly is a lot of knowledge to have in that training. It's hard, but it will pay off in the long run.
Yes, ma'am.
Megan?
Hi, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for having me. My name is Megan Janssen, and I am a recruitment officer with the University of Toronto. I've been recruiting for Canada's largest university for the past 2 years. I actually graduated from the University of Toronto in 2013. I did a specialist in theater and drama, worked on a major in history, and did a minor in English. I then graduated from university and worked for a nonprofit called Free the Children. Now we, for 2 years, had some amazing experiences there before coming back to my roots, coming home to the University of Toronto, where in my current role, I advise students who were very similar to me, students, children that you have, advising you and your students in regards to their pathways to university, if that's something they want to pursue, what those requirements look like, and the different ways you can access education and what it can look like for you, and then pursuing, of course, those awesome careers and post-grad options that come with that. So that's what I am currently doing, and I will pass it on to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for hosting lovely University of Toronto campus, and we look forward to hearing more about what activities parents can really get into inviting their kids to go to university. And Sara?
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here today. My name is Sara Varvaris, and I work for Humber College. I've been with the college now for about 5 years. I started within the office of the registrar and then switched over to student services, so I'm able to speak to students from multiple perspectives. With that said, I'm also an alumni of Humber College. Very proud to say that I graduated from our Fashion Arts Business program. I'm now studying, by the way, at the University of Toronto, doing my major in sociology. And the reason I bring this up is because something I'm going to stress today is the importance of pathways and just being able to advance your education along the way. Going back to what I do, I'm an educational advisor, so I conduct pre-admission advising appointments to prospective students out of the 5 Humber Community Employment Service Centers. The majority of students that I work with are at-risk youth, mature non-traditional students, so including international training professionals, second career applicants, people who have recently been laid off and are re-entering the workforce. But with that said, I've also done student recruitment contracts a couple of times at Humber, so I have experience working with traditional high school students and interfacing with parents as well, answering those questions. A little bit about the institution. Humber is the largest college in Canada with over 27,000 full-time students, over 180 programs with certificates, diplomas, advanced diplomas, degrees, and post-grads. And 90% of our programs have mandatory co-op, work placement, or internship, so your students can, or your children can get work experience prior to graduation.
Thanks for that, Sara. I'm sure we'll find something for everyone in Humber College.
That's for sure.
This will be an interesting discussion, how we highlight the differences between what goes in university setting and what happens in colleges. And then we'll talk about skills trades.
Thank you, good afternoon, parents. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Scougall. I am a program advisor with Skilled Trades College of Canada in Mississauga. We also have another campus in Vaughan as well. We're a private career college for pre-apprenticeship training. We focus on electrical and also plumbing, and we're starting new programs in January for masonry and also for general contracting as well, so we are growing. We've been around for 11 years now. We started just with electrical, as the owner of the college actually owns his own electrical company called Neutral Electric for 25 years. That's how we got started. and then we've evolved to plumbing about 3 years ago as well, as both trades are in high demand, as all trades are in the next 5 to 10 years. They're growing. There's a shortage of youth getting involved. There's a lot of older men who are retiring, and like I say, not enough young people wanting to get involved in the trades. So very well respected living. There's a ton of opportunity in the next, like I say, 5, 10 years for growth. The people that come to see us, men, women, range from 27 to 35, although we are trying to encourage the high school students from grade 11 to 12 to get more involved in our programs and don't go the traditional route always, and give us that look as well. So we'll speak a bit more about our programs as well as we discuss this afternoon. So.
Thanks so much, Ben. And to your point, there truly is a shortage of tradesmen out there. And parents, this would be a good opportunity to really learn more about the skills and trades that we require to grow infrastructure in Ontario. So let's start. Ontario, as you know, is Canada's largest and most diverse province, serving just under 2 million children in like 4 different types of public school settings. So there's the English Catholic, the English public, the French Catholic, and then the French public. As of 2010, 27% of Ontario students were born outside of Canada, with 20% self-identifying as a minority. And 4.5% of the province's school children are French speaking. So is Ontario diverse? For sure, and highly multicultural. There are many factors that affect the student's decision on whether to pursue university, college, trades, even consider serving the country, or entrepreneurship. And where the planning process begins is actually when the student raises this idea in their heads of like, oh, I want to be a doctor, bookkeeper, driver, plumber, teacher, whatever it may be. And it's usually dependent on the parents, the conversations they have at home, where the students actually crystallize this idea of who they want to become, right? So from now on, we always think that it's only up to the students to educate themselves, to have those choices. But really, the driver for that is the parents. And there are challenges out there too, because the parents have somewhat gone through post-sec, and it could be anything and everything. A little bit of course here, or they fulfill a master's degree. So based on all these, how can the organization or the institution that you guys represent in this kind of discussion, you think, how can we empower the parents of high school students in the selection of the courses and programs? And you might have heard about this in the news, like, you know, the streaming about going to applied and academic, and what are they missing out on, or what are they gaining in terms of opportunity? What are you guys doing in order to educate the parents so that they can in turn help their students decide where to go? Who wants to go first?
I was going to say, for us, it's a little bit, it's a bit of a challenge to empower parents specifically because we're a military organization, so we're, again, Canadian Armed Forces. One of the things I like to say is one of our new kind of taglines is empowering in itself is dare to be extraordinary. Just that statement alone, you know, extraordinary is a very empowering sort of like a goal type thing. So for us, it's a challenge, but one of the things we've been doing is we've increased our media campaign, trying to get the information out there in a more broader base, a more sort of inclusive environment. And at the end of the day, what we mainly function, again, speaking just on behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces, is we're working through the career shops in the various schools, colleges, universities, and stuff like that, to get the information out there, to not just empower the parents, but actually to empower the students themselves. We go in and speak to grade 10, grade 11, grade 12 career classes, again, coordinated generally through the different career shops and the guidance offices through any type of high school, and try to get the information out there. We've got a lot of social media activity now. The idea is to kind of attract the students to get the parents' attention. So because we're looking at recruiting applicants and members of the Canadian Armed Forces, that's where we're a little bit different. But we want to make it very clear that not only is this an all-inclusive type of workplace, but anytime any of the kids, any of your children are thinking about military service, it's so easy to find a recruiter. And our job is to inform you. Anytime someone comes into our office, they should leave with all of their questions answered. That's the goal. Whether they're on our website, whether they're contacting us, our various email addresses and everything like that. Our biggest thing to do is just empowering the students with knowledge about what the military offers, guiding them through what, like you mentioned, the applied and the academic stream. Because of the lucrative education subsidies we have in the military, we actually pay for university, we pay for college. We have co-op, exactly, right? Like we have actually for Humber College, the culinary arts program, we actually recognize that and give accreditation to that. And then we offer certain bonuses for people going in as a cook in the military.
Nice. A military guy that can cook.
That's right. My wife loves that I can do that too, but I'm not a cook, but I can do that still. And it's really like remarkable the amount of tools that we have available for people that want to join the Canadian Armed Forces. These education institutions here, U of T, we have students going through the regular officer training program, where we're paying them to go to university, we're paying them a salary, giving them a pension. It's literally like having your cake and eating it too. I can't stress that enough. It's fantastic, and the only string attached is that you pay us back with service, which in itself is a reward. So aside from a bit of a segue there, for empowerment, the idea for us, the biggest thing is information. You know, utilizing the social media tools, utilizing discussions like this, interacting with the various education institutions here. You know, we have like the idea is building rapport with the institutions, and then of course the parents. Anytime parents want to have a question answered, your job is just to call us, and our job is to answer them. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for, is to provide as much information as possible to you.
I'd like to hear from you guys about like what do you actually do to reach out to not just the students, but to actually educate parents and give them the resources to relate their children.
Yeah, so we, and I'm speaking through the lens of specifically the University of Toronto and the University of Toronto Mississauga, which is the office that I am specifically running these events. So the earliest point of contact that we have with parents and guardians, families, and prospective students is through our grade 10, 11 nights. So you would be coming onto campus with your children. You're able to see a presentation about what post-secondary education looks like, really giving you an introduction to the options that are available to you and what the pathway looks like in terms of your high school education and moving into university, or perhaps making note that you can go to a college like Humber for 2 years and then make the transition to a university degree if that is something that is beneficial for you. But it's through the grade 10, 11 night. We run that event in April every year, and we'll advertise for it. It's on our website, but you can come to us and we will give you and your students a lot of introduction, a big introduction to university life. And we do parent sessions and sessions for the students as well. We also have fantastic online resources. So specifically thinking about utm.utoronto.ca/parents and families guide. We have a complete, really comprehensive guide that will walk you through what it looks like to be a University of Toronto student, the policies, the procedures, the kind of brass tacks of university education, but also how you can support your student as they make this big transition into university life. How to support them if they're experiencing a challenge, academic or personal, how to support them if they live on campus, off campus. All of those tidbits and pieces of advice are available for you online. And of course, we do outreach to different high schools and colleges across the province and across the country and around the world. So we're here to answer all of your questions about what those requirements look like and what the experience looks like. And of course, we welcome you to come to us as well onto campus to visit us. We are here to answer your questions, exactly. So come in with your questions. We are here to provide all of the answers and to make sure that you feel comfortable with what's going on and what's going to happen next.
And I would think that would be very similar approach for the colleges, right?
It is quite similar in terms of the college. Something to help parents, I think, when they're exploring post-secondary institutions with their children is keep in mind that it's really important that their children choose a program that they're passionate about. a program that they're interested in, because when a student is passionate and engaged, they're going to be successful within that program and they're going to be interested in pursuing that career. All too often we see it within the advising department that students come in and they're like, I really have a passion for baking and pastry, but my parents made me go into nursing and now I'm failing all of my courses.
No, it's real.
But it's real.
Yeah,
And
it's
this actually happens, right? So like a really big tip is support your children in their decision. And of course, labor market is incredibly important. I'm really big on assessing the labor market and educating your children on, well, if you pursue this career, these are your job prospects. And a really good resource for that is just Google Ontario labor market. And you can actually see statistics right there on annual income and full-time employment statistics as well to see how precarious is that particular job market. Is it a flexible market where it's a lot of contract, temporary, part-time work? Are there full-time positions available? But it is important that we remember that the labor market is constantly changing, which means your children are likely going to be pursuing education throughout the duration of their life, which is really what is called lifelong learning these days, which is very much encouraged. And that is again encouraged through accessing pathways. So I think it's also really important for parents to keep in mind that if you want your child to go into a degree program, they may not always be ready for that. And so they may not be ready for that emotionally or mentally or in a mature sense, but maybe they just don't have the grades to access those credentials either. But a way to give them confidence and a way to keep them engaged in post-secondary is perhaps having them enroll in something like a foundational program or a general arts and science certificate so they can assimilate into the post-secondary environment. Pursue those grades, get those courses, and then really start to discover what program is it that I want to pursue. And from there, they'll continue to advance their education. Of course, online resources are very helpful, and it's really, honestly, as an educational advisor, I'm always helping prospective students even navigate other institutions, and every website is super comprehensive, but they do vary, so be supportive and learn how to navigate those websites with your children so you can help them get through the information and learn about the admissions processes. We also have assessment tools, so it's really overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I'm 18 years old, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Who knows? But there's assessment tools for that. So Humber has something called a career finder. It assesses your skill sets, your interests, your personality, and based on the results, it narrows the search from 180 full-time programs to 20 to 40. All of a sudden, it's more manageable. You can circle some program titles and say, you know what, I can see myself doing that, or just immediately put a line through it and say, that's not for me. Another thing is, if your student is in high school, have them pursue something like a high school co-op. They can dip their toes into a field and they can be like, wow, this is exactly what I thought it would be, or oh, this is not for me at all. OYAP is awesome. So if your student is somebody who wants to pursue the trades is a booming field right now. It is a very respectable career profession. OYAP is something to give them relevant experience because truth be told, the hardest part of gaining an apprenticeship is finding your first employer to hire you.
And OYAP is
OYAP is a way for students to go ahead and pursue like applied learning.
Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program.
Yes, sorry, the acronyms. Sorry. Sorry.
That's all good.
And the last one that they could pursue as well is dual credit. Dual credit is a really cool program. So if you have a child who's kind of disengaged, have them enroll into the dual credit program because that actually places them into a college classroom in a college environment with other college students, and that credit can actually go towards their high school credential and it goes towards their college diploma. So then they can build some confidence and you can say, look, you've completed a credit, you can do this, you can finish this credential. So that's just a few tips to get parents involved and engaged and empowered.
Well, thank you. And then I really love the idea that you mentioned about giving the kids to something that they're passionate about. And it is truly, a lifelong learning experience, right? I'm midlife and I'm still learning. So going to the whole passion discussion, I'd like to hear from Sue.
I wish I'd talked to Sara before I would have saved myself a lot. But I did finally find my path. So I think it's important, you both mentioned this, being prepared for post-secondary. Like it's not like high school, it's so different. And developing those interpersonal skills and leadership skills is very important, interests and goals. And a lot of times we find that students do this through extracurricular activities or work experience. As an employer, I often found when I was hiring students and they didn't have any experience at all, at 20 and 21 and 22, I was often surprised. And I just, wondered, what did you do all summer? These kind of things. So I think summer jobs are really important. And I think if any of your children are entrepreneurial at all, we have a wonderful program. It's called Summer Company. Summer Company opens for applications in January. You can apply online at ontario.ca/Summer Company. Summer Company offers students a $3,000 grant to open a summer business. Now, they must be returning to school. We also provide mentorship, training. It's a wonderful opportunity. There's also another program called Make Your Pitch. The deadline for Make Your Pitch is March 2018. Students, high school students only, can submit a video, a 2-minute video on their business idea. And there's a contest. I was actually one of the judges last year. And they win an all-expense paid trip to Toronto. Everybody goes to Toronto. Yes, that's fine. It's actually to the it's Discovery Center, and then they get to present in front of all kinds of hundreds of people. So there's some amazing opportunities out there for youth, but I really think not everyone is cut out for entrepreneurship, but at least this gives them an opportunity to become more independent, self-reliant. And I actually used to run the summer company program. I ran it last year, and I had 25 students, from 15 to 29 years of age. And some of the ideas they came up with and the experience they had by the end of the summer, and then one of them would run it all year long. It's just like amazing. So there's great opportunities, there's great supports out there.
And with Glenn, the skills trade industry is really screaming for help. Like you said earlier, there's a lot of retirees and there's not enough intake. So what do you think the parents need to hear about and how fabulous this industry is?
We reach out to a lot of high schools. We have very, very close relationships with a lot of them throughout Ontario. Obviously, we're located in Mississauga and Vaughan. We do have those close relationships built already, but it's just we do a lot of career fairs as well, where we go and meet the parents at those fairs for grade 10s, 11s, 12s that are a little bit maybe lost, that as far as they're not really 100% sure what they want to do. And as they've all mentioned before, I think the biggest thing for us is that all of our students are passionate about learning the trade. They're fully invested. They're just obviously taking that first step, so to speak, right? So we get them trained, and then also we assist them with the job. That's the biggest question I get from parents. I think that's great. We do give them the skills, but how do they go about starting their apprenticeship in the trades?
Right.
So we have many, many contacts throughout. So we introduce them to the right people, and it's up to our students to sell the work ethic and their skills to those employers, right? There are government grants we have available as well.
Can you mention any of those grants? Right?
Sure. Yeah, one of them is called Gateway Training Assistance that we've had a relationship with for the past 8 months, where they provide $4,600 towards the tuition of our programs. And not only do they provide the tuition, what they do is that they're also helping that student find a job after the program, as long with us, but also they're providing a wage subsidy for that employer. So they're paying for that student to be there. So that's
paying for the student and the employer
Yes.
to take in the.
Yeah.
Oh,
So again, we also try to kind of encourage that employer to. There's no downside here, right? When you're taking on an apprentice, the government's going to help in many ways, and then we're giving you somebody that's 100% job ready, that has skills with theoretical and also practical, that is ready to go to work and start making money and working towards their license, which is all of our students' goal.
Right. And what is your advice with to families? Okay, so you have a mixed family of like someone that has gone to college or has a degree, postgraduate degree, but then you have someone who's interested. Okay, I want to pursue skills trade, and then because the elders of the family have no inkling or idea what happens within the skills trade industry, what is your advice on how they can just they should get a run for it, and this is why. What is that why?
The why is that it's about educating, obviously, is of what is the trades all about, really, is about the benefits to the student looking at the programs, right? There's a lot of security, there's a lot of opportunities financially, and also just in through the trades.
See, we don't hear a lot about job security nowadays, but you're saying that there is actually job security in the trades.
For sure. There's unions, there's ununionized, so there's pros and cons to both, but there's a lot of security there for sure too. So once the student has their license, it's up to them. They do have different avenues they can go down as far as they can start their own business. Because they have the license, they can go work for a unionized company, they can go ununionized. But the point is that they have lots of different options available to them as opposed to limited some of the other routes that they traditionally are. So we have information sessions every so often at our college, but we invite as many parents as possible through the high schools to come and visit with us and have a look around, have a tour of the college, and kind of a better feel of what we do and who we are, and try to educate them that way.
So can I mention, Glenn, that if they do decide to start their own business, we have another grant. And this grant is for people 18 and up. You must be out of school. It can be a new business or an expansion, and it's called Starter Company Plus. And this program is running currently. I am currently in the second intake, and the deadline is December 1st. If you want to apply for that program.
TikTok.
Yeah. But I do have 4 intakes, so there's 2 more intakes. So this is the winter intake that I'm in currently. It's a $5,000 grant. Then we have a spring intake and a summer intake. Apply online at mississauga.ca/Starter Company Plus. And it's an amazing opportunity. I mean, $5,000 is, it's not a ton of money to start a business, but someone like who's a plumber, who's looking for some startup funds, equipment, wants vehicle graphics on their vehicle, needs some tools. It's an amazing opportunity, but it's not just a grant. They apply for the training and mentorship. It's free if they're accepted, and then they have the opportunity to apply for the grant. And it's a pitch. They actually go up to our judges and they pitch their idea. And we just had our pitch a couple of weeks ago, and we just awarded 6 grants.
Wonderful.
And then there's support and mentorship continually through that program.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I have a question from our audience. They'd like to hear more about SHISM, or the Specialist High Skills Majors. And I guess this applies to university, colleges, and even to the skills trade.
Yeah, do you want me to speak to it? So specialists, so the SHISMs are fantastic. Yes, specialist high skills majors. Thank you. So those are fantastic programs for people who are discovering what it is that they want to study or are passionate about a certain field. Again, I'm speaking through the lens of the University of Toronto. The University of Toronto will not give you an advantage to do the specialist high skills major. It's not going to give you an advantage for admission or anything like that. It is a very personal decision, and it's something for the student, and a great opportunity for a student who knows what it is that they want to focus on. But beyond that, it will not affect our admission at the University of Toronto, nor Humber colleges.
So no extra credits for universities and colleges.
I want to stress here, I'm speaking for the University of Toronto. I can't speak for any other institution. You would definitely, I would advise you to give them a call to find out if there are any programs that would honor it with credit or use those or give an advantage to a student who has those. But to my knowledge, no, it doesn't impact, and not for UT. Yeah. And I would echo the same number.
Right, and outside of SHISM, how about the advanced placement?
Again, advanced placement, IB programming are, again, fantastic options for students who it will give you rigorous preparation for your university education. But again, it will not give you an advantage for admission purposes. In Ontario, high schools, that IB or AP grade is actually converted to a percentage. So for admission purposes across Ontario universities, we are seeing a percentage grade. The advantage it can give a student is in that rigorous preparation that it's going to give you, and it's also potentially going to give you transfer credits in your first year. So you can find UT's transfer credit information online for AP and IB credits, depending on the credit, the IB or AP credit you are doing, and depending on your score in that course, you may be eligible for transfer credit in your first year, but no admission advantage there.
Thanks. Just a follow-up for Sue, from our audience again, is there an age limit for the starter company?
Starter company is 18 plus.
Okay, so 18 till
Whatever.
there you go.
Yeah, there's.
As long as the pitch is good.
There's any limit. And I did want to mention that if you'd like to know where this money is coming from, it's the Ministry of Economic Development and Growth. That's where the grant money is.
And it's not limited to Mississauga residents.
Oh, no. So we are part of a small business enterprise center. They're located all over. In fact, I think there's 3 locations in Toronto and GTA. There's Halton region, Brantford, Oakville, all over, and they all have their own programs. They might be run a little bit differently, but the grants are available. So the closest center is where you should apply.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks so much. I guess just to follow up on our first question, the challenges for parents is understanding assessment tests or requirements or results. Like, does my child have enough credit to pursue, say, university, college, or trades, or even go through training, or be qualified for a grant or something? Like, what do you do as an institution to really reinforce to the parents, or say, communicate to the parents, these are the requirements that your children should have, and this is how you can help?
I think something that's really important to note on this particular topic is that FIPA exists. So this is the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act. It's really important to note that as parents, when you call into an institution or you come into an institution asking for your children's grades or enrollment information, we're bound by confidentiality and we cannot release any of that information unless there's a letter of consent on file that has been signed by your child and attached to their student account. Part of this is that when they come to post-secondary, we're really trying to develop self-advocacy skills within our students. And we're really trying to empower our students to take responsibility and accountability for their own education. And we're not saying that supportive parents rock. That's not what this is about, but it's also about encouraging that student development piece. So if you're really insistent on getting your consent form signed in, talk to your child about that and make sure that's attached to their account on file.
Sorry, just to interrupt. And does that qualify, the rule qualifies for kids in high school as well?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I can only speak to post-secondary.
Okay. Yes. So it would be So it would be as soon as that student applies to the University of Toronto, as an example, and if we get a phone call from someone who is a parent or guardian and they want access to this file, they want to know what's going on. We cannot confirm or deny that a student has actually applied.
Oh, sorry.
So we can't even divulge that, and that's because yes, of course, it most likely is the concerned parent who is calling. But we don't want. But again, keeping that, it's all a matter of safety and privacy for your child, right? So keeping that top of mind and understanding that these college and university or post-secondary administrators, anyone really, we are not trying to block you or forbid you access. We are keeping your child's safety and security top of mind, and that's why that's happening.
Well, these are all rights of the child, per se, and under the Education Act. That's part.
But Humber does have a few really great things for parents to get more information about the institution. For example, Humber has something called Family and Friends Orientation, and this is something where family and friends can come onto the campus and you get to learn more about the institution. If your child's staying in residence, you can see the residents. You can also learn about the services. So if your child has an IEP and needs to register with counseling or accessibility, please encourage them to do so, because this is a self-identification process. We don't know at the post-secondary level if your child needs accommodations. Your child actually needs to pursue us. So services are available in all post-secondary institutions, but that's something at this orientation that you would be able to find out about. In March, we host something called the Next Step presentation. So we've applied to college now. By the way, February 1st is the equal consideration deadline for parents for colleges, so please make sure your child's application is in before Feb 1st. But in March, we host the Next Step. So you've applied, what's coming next? Humber also has something online called the Admissions Roadmap, and this is really useful whether they're coming to Humber or even going to a university. This is steps numbers 1 through 10, so from program exploration to you've arrived, and there's detailed descriptions along every step, so that's quite helpful. And then also when it comes back to like the sample test and the assessment test and everything like this, on Humber.ca's program pages, if there is testing involved, you can actually access sample tests through there. And when your child is invited to test, they can actually do some practice tests online. And we also have online resources through our Head Start feed, where your children can use resources to prep for their English and math tests.
So I guess because the universities or colleges are more visible, and you are actually like out there more so compared to say Canadian Forces or the skills trades, would you guys be coming out to the communities and really reaching out to like the schools, children, or the families within the communities? What do you do to get them informed about all the other activities that you guys do?
Like I mentioned earlier, we do reach out. We do have many close relationships with high schools. That's one way for sure.
You do career days?
We do career days. We also have full grade 12 classes from high schools come and do a full day at the college where we put on different activities for them as well, so they get to experience what it's like to be part of the class for electrical and so on. So, but we're very active in the community, very active through social media or our website. Obviously, trying to reach as many people, educate as many people as possible.
Likewise with us, we attend often high schools at the Pathways Nights, where they bring a bunch of either post-secondary education or educators, different career opportunities, and usually the Canadian Armed Forces we send recruiters in. I'm going to echo what Sara said with regards to privacy of information. Like for us, like again, just like what you say about speaking through a lens, I speak on behalf of the Canadian Forces for this one, and that's we definitely take like applicant protections or information very seriously. We have a test that's a little bit different with us because our test is called the Canadian Forces Aptitude Test. And that's basically controlled by the Public Service Commission of Canada. And what that is, that's our our initial aptitude test to verify whether people kind of have the basic skill sets of what it takes to become a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. We do have, most of the recruiters are trained to get some of the information about this kind of stuff. All our recruiters are trained in what information we can give out. We describe the 3 different areas that we test. We're not allowed to give any of the results. People ask quite a bit. We're not allowed to because it's a percentile-based test. It's only used internally for us. And again, it's a highly controlled item. But often throughout our Pathways Nights, we actually do a lot of university and college career fairs as well. So we're very active in the communities. We're active at high schools. We encourage you as parents going on www.forces.ca is where you're going to find all of our information from aptitude test prep to an actual sample of our aptitude test, which shows the format of testing that we use. By virtue of getting out and getting into these mentoring sessions with the career staff, getting in and speaking to grade 10, 11, 12 classes is, again, getting back to even the concept of empowerment, is the way we really empower these young men and women to start this conversation with you as parents, and then to dispel any of any fears or any worries about joining the Canadian military. Like, I'm a soldier by trade, so most people assume that all about being in the military is boots on the ground. It's not. There's we have over 100 occupations and stuff like that. We do co-op programs for the reserves. We have usually the local reserve units often host open houses where they can come in and you can actually see one of the reserve units and get kind of a little bit of an insight into what a quick snapshot of what life is like as a clerk, as a cook, as an infantry soldier, as an officer, what kind of things they do, just try to get that message out there. Some of the bigger bases, we do a lot of activities where it's like on family days in particular, we bring them in. That's a little bit controlled because most of the bases are operational units, so it's a little bit different on that. And the cadets is a great program. I think it's already come up a few times. We're talking about the cadet program. In the military, they're not associated with us, but we actually hire and screen all of their officers that do all of the training. So in that sense, they're commissioned officers of the Canadian Forces. But the cadets is a great way to kind of empower kids and to get a little bit of insight. But for the testing, anytime a recruiter goes out to speak to a class, we'll generally we'll speak on what our aptitude test process is. And we encourage parents to call us, email us, go on the website, find a recruiter, and it'll actually show you your postal code, the closest recruiting center. and the closest reserve unit to you. So you can absolutely feel free to pick our brains and ask us questions about this. So.
How do you guys advertise and promote to Canadians, I guess, that were not educated here? I'm a perfect example. I migrated here when I was 28. So now that my kids are growing up, my girl just started high school. I have no clue how that system works. So I really had to literally hit the books and learn all about these things and what their pathways could be and how choices in high school affects their choices later on for post-secondary. Like, how do you reach out to these parents that really have no sense of what the Canadian post-secondary education system looks like?
That's a good question. It's a challenging one to answer. I know for us, one of the things that we do, we get out to the different employment centers, and there's small little career shops in the communities. I know, like I said, I work at Hamilton, so we're in a lot of those employment centers, whether it's Service Ontario, Service Canada, a lot of the different skills technical colleges were out there. We have an immigration center actually in the building where I work at it, so more often than not, we have people that become brand new Canadian citizens and come right upstairs and basically begin the application process, which I find to be really inspirational too, because these people looking at the immigration process, it's like sometimes 5, 6, 7 years. And I have to state this, we cannot accept applications from anyone that aren't Canadian citizens. It's not a discriminatory thing. It's simply when it comes down to it, we have security clearances and we have to maintain those. So I believe there's something in Parliament. I can't speak to that. All I can say is that for people that want to join the Canadian Armed Forces, if you're a new landed immigrant, if you're a permanent resident, you absolutely should come visit a recruiting center, because we can still give you those tools and steps on what to look forward to. We can help guide if you need like education assistance, stuff like that. We can kind of help steer you in the right direction. Ultimately, the service in the military is your end goal. But the biggest way we're out there is just getting out to the communities and finding the different social groups. We have diversity of recruiters whose job specifically is to go and interact with those various, employment equity groups in the communities to, get that big message out there in that outreach. So,
and with Glenn, if you had like migrants coming in as, skills and have worked in the trades from the country where they originated from, they wanted their children to get into it, but have no idea how to do it. Like, how do you reach out to those types of families out there?
That's definitely something that we're working on. We're trying to get stronger in that. We do have a lot of international students that were electricians or plumbers from back home, and they've moved and now are permanent residents of Canada, that come to us that they're trying to get involved in the trades here, and building codes are obviously different from where they were before to where they are now. So when they arrive, they possibly English is a second language, so to speak, and a little bit broken, but we certainly work with them because we're very diverse in that skilled trades college. So we're also very different from other colleges as well, where a lot of our training is done every single day, hands-on in labs. So you learn the book in the morning, you apply it that same day in the afternoon, and we find that's a lot easier for people to retain that information, especially for people that English is a second language again, right? So all of our instructors are the tradespeople as well, have been in the trades for 25 years, have passed on all their experiences and all their knowledge on to our students, which we feel is invaluable. So we as far as reaching out, we say to possibly the children of international students, again, it's something that we're working on to kind of educate them more.
And is there a financial support for those families that, they would have to acquire their licenses or their certification, have to be up to speed with the trade industry here in Canada?
As of right now, like I said, we do offer the Gateway Grant, providing that you are between the ages of 18 to 30. Again, we're the government's office. We're trying to encourage youth to get involved. There is a second career we deal with as well, for again people that are arriving that are not for that option here. So as far as a government grant for international students, there's nothing as of yet. But again, that's something that we're trying to build on.
Okay. So we're slowly wrapping up here, and our last question is the types of financial assistance that are available for post-secondary education through your institution or that organization you represent. Can you speak to us quickly around financial assistance?
Sure. At a post-secondary level, bursary scholarships are definitely available. OSAP is most likely the primary funding source for post-secondary education. Over 50% of students are on OSAP. I'm a part-time student, I have OSAP. With that being said, the new free tuition program has been rolled out this year. It's a fantastic incentive to help individuals materialize their career and educational goals where maybe years prior they wouldn't have been able to. The eligibility for that is on the OSAP website. And if you do have any inquiries about financial aid, please contact the institution directly, their financial aid department, for assistance. The application is done online. Bursaries are available throughout the year. Colleges and universities receive grant money from the government to issue out to students through forms of bursaries and also through work study. So please have your students check out bursary options and applications throughout the year through their financial awards page on their student portal. And then work study is a fantastic option where students can actually get campus jobs. And the benefit of that is they're not traveling all over the GTA or wherever they are to get to and from work. Also, as a work study student, we recognize that you're a student first and an employee second. So your schedule is actually built around your timetable, your classroom timetable, and it's also more flexible. Wages are usually a little bit better than minimum wage, and the skills that you're actually learning in those positions are transferable and that you'll be able to bring to your next career. Also, I just want to mention that colleges don't give out scholarships, essay scholarships at a diploma level, but we do give degree scholarships. We also have an incentive scholarship for students who complete a diploma at Humber and then immediately pursue a degree program at Humber. If you have an 80% average or higher leaving that diploma and entering the degree, you're eligible for a $1,500 scholarship. So again, just promoting the advancement through those pathways.
So new jargons to learn: financial aid, bursary, work study, scholarships,
and OSAP.
I love all this.
Yeah, no, it's very, very similar across the board, across post-secondary institutions in the province. We have scholarships for students who are coming to us directly from high school. We have automatic entrance scholarships. We have scholarships for students who are transferring, who are, pursuing a pathway option. So for those, some you're automatically assessed for, some you're going to want to apply to those scholarships. And the University of Toronto also has something called UT. Oh my gosh, now it's going to escape me, but it's UTAPS is the acronym for it. Forgive me. Just say UTAPS, and we will all understand what it is. But it's essentially financial assistance for students who perhaps you've got OSAP, perhaps you're working a part-time job, but you are also living your life and putting food on the table while you're at school, and you're noticing a gap in your finances. We have a policy that no student should be denied a U of T education due to that financial need. So I was a first-generation student myself. My parents had no idea what university looked like, so I was really, So I was on my own, and I was also financing my own education. So I was able to come into the financial aid office as an example, not knowing much of what was available to me, but struggling at the time, and they were able to walk me through this, and I submitted my application for it and was successful. But we all of us are here to support you, so please make sure that you are coming out to us, you're identifying yourself, and we'll support you as best we can.
Wonderful. I have a question here. If there are grants available, this is for you, Sue, for new Canadians interested in dipping their fingers into the world of entrepreneurship. The Canadians that are interested to be entrepreneurs? Oh, and will there be grants or supports out there?
There are. The best thing to do is to, like for instance, the Start a Company Plus program, you actually can go on to see if you are eligible, and you just answer the questions. I wanted to mention that there is some programs also available. It's not really on the financing part, but Immigration and Settlement and the Employment Center offer programs for newcomers. I actually just visited the Access Employment Center recently and had no idea that they had all these programs. They have English as a second language, and they also have these, I guess it's not really bridging, but it's when someone comes and they have a degree from another country, and they provide them with guidance and support to help them get, employment here. Obviously, the education, there is a gap, but they do provide them with the supports for that, and I found that out, and actually went to speak to a group of newcomers recently. So there are a lot of supports and, mentorship out there.
And what can we say in terms of, you started young, tender age of 5. You were bitten by the entrepreneurial bug. What's your advice to parents on how they can actually encourage entrepreneurship amongst their children?
So I think the one major obstacle for most people who are looking at entrepreneurship is fear. It can be a scary little world out there. And one of the things that I instilled in my own children was I wanted to find out what they were interested in and what they were passionate about.
So the passion factor,
that's right,
really has to.
Yeah, and I encourage them to join groups and things like brownies and Girl Guides and cadets, and it was kind of. And I'll tell you my daughter's story. My daughter wanted to be a teacher from the age of 6. All she talked about, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a teacher. And so then there was this opportunity to volunteer at a school. She came home and said, I don't want to be a teacher. I can't do it. I don't know how they do it. And then she had the opportunity to help a girlfriend of mine who had premature twins. And we took care of them because there was, some other family issues. And she said, this is what I want to do. I want to work with babies. I want to be a nurse. I want to be in ICU and critical care. And there she is. And she's in New Zealand doing that right now. So you want to find the passion for your children. You don't want to do it too directly because you might scare them off. But get them to try different things. And I think eventually you will see their interests come out when you see their passion. But it is the fear. Sometimes you just need to jump in and do it. I like that. Yes. I also want to mention that there's also innovation centers, the IQ here at U of T. There's a lot of startup programming. There's contests. So there is money out there for people who want to pitch their ideas. We have a RIC Center. And there's one in Humber. What's the one in Humber called?
Center for Entrepreneurship.
Oh, Center for Entrepreneurship. So it's amazing that these educational institutions see the power of entrepreneurship and innovation, and then they support that.
Slowly happening to, really translate what's happening out there, right? The educational system is really shifting towards the skills that our real world requires.
And the different types of businesses, like people, every day I have someone coming in, they're developing an app, the technology that's out there and these amazing ideas. It's just, it's amazing to see and be able to support it.
Well, thanks for that. I have a question for Sergeant Gillis.
Yes.
If you as a parent think that the armed forces is a good fit for your child, how do you sell it to your children when they're not interested?
Bring them in to speak to a recruiter. So really, there's a lot of really good information online, but there's also a lot of chaff, for lack of a better term. Your best bet is to come into a recruiting center. One of the nice parts about Canadian Armed Forces recruiting centers across Canada is you don't need to set up an appointment and talk to a recruiter. It's a good idea to call ahead of time, and that's where you, on forces.ca, on the Find an Advisor, you can find the local recruiting center nearest you. It's got, usually most of the recruiting centers have like an info email that's monitored by all the recruiting staff, so you can easily coordinate something with them. And but your best bet is to get it right from the horse's mouth. We have recruiters that come from a diverse background of trades. I'm infantry. I have a vehicle technician in my like a heavy duty mechanic essentially. We have supply technicians. We have clerks. So the best bet for you, and our job also isn't to sell it. Our biggest thing that we do, because it's the military, is to find the right person for the right job at the right time. So we have, and to echo what was said earlier about fear and passion, a lot of people are intimidated by basic training. Like, it's daunting, it's challenging, but it's not impossible. That's where it comes back to that personal sense of empowerment. Is mind over matter. Like, I went from where I was as a young man who kind of lost his way to someone who's now a military recruiter speaking to you today in this group of panelists. Myself here, it's great. One of the things, if I can, I love, this is my favorite part about being a recruiter for parents and as a parent, is the financial side. So, engineering technician, there's certain colleges where if you speak to a recruiter, we have a list of authorized colleges that will pay for you to go do the training because we recognize it as similar. So we'll actually pay for you to go to college. Your academic performance and your academics are the priority. We will train you in the summertime. So you'll get caught up in your military training in the summertime. But you're sitting beside students in class with OSAP debt, and no disparagement to that. But you don't have any because we're paying, so parents, we're paying for the students to go to school. They have to pay us back with service. So at the end of it, when you finish your 2-3 years in college or your 4 years in university, often you're floundering. Even though the career shops and people do their best to show you, we've already recruited you for a job, so you don't need to go job searching after you. Go through a process. Your pension starts the day you begin school, which is remarkable. So you're actually collecting, sorry, the day you begin training. So you're collecting a salary, getting benefits and leave while going to college, which is remarkable. That's called the non-commissioned member subsidized training education program. We have a vehicle technician that works in my office that, as he goes through the process or through his time and experience, can challenge and become a Red Seal certified heavy-duty mechanic with his military service. The other part we do university subsidization. So the onus is on the students to make sure they have the academic courses and the grades of 75% and up, which can be challenging, but we're looking for a very motivated sector. And we will pay for you to go to one of these esteemed universities, any university in Canada, or to our Royal Military College, where we'll, again, pay for your full university degree. The academics are the priority, and then we've already hired you, so you have a job waiting at the end. Your job is to perform in school, and then we train you in the summertime to get you up to speed. The other thing we do is a unique arrangement we have with Seneca College called the Continuing Education Officer Training Program, where we train pilots where they can get their wings and become captains within 4 years, and they get a Bachelor of Aviation Technology, and the same thing applies, where they're literally having their cake and eating it too. It is a remarkable program. There's the only string attached to it. You have to have the academics to perform. You have to get through our application process, which is understandable. And any recruiter can speak on that application process and all this information. And it's also found on forces.ca. And to just get through the training and overcoming that fear. You know, fear will hold so many people back, and there's, you know, you're not going to make it in life without that mental determination. Like, anyone can train something. You need that mental approach to get over it. Arming yourself with knowledge, arming parents with knowledge, and a really fruitful discussion. There's been some remarkable information given out today about grants and bursaries and opportunities and stuff like that. You know, that's why we're here. It's in a competition. We're here to inform you as parents. And there's so many amazing opportunities available for, you know, people that just want to kind of grab the bull by the horn, so to speak, and, you know, take control. And then even me, like later on in life, like I mentioned, I was a high school dropout. I'm currently doing university upgrading. I have to pay up front. I got a grant. Kind of like a grant. It's military terminology, I won't get into that, but essentially I'm doing a business degree upgrade through the military on my own time. It's part-time, and I basically just have to show a transcript showing that I've passed, and I get 100% reimbursed for that. I'm doing that at 38 years old, and you know what I mean? There's a lot of opportunities out there. The idea is just to overcome that initial fear, and the way to overcome fear is arming yourself with knowledge and information. And again, that's why we're here, and our websites are.
The one thing I'd like to mention just quickly is that if your child is looking at a field or not really sure what they want to do, but let's say they decide, you know, they want to be whatever, paralegal or a teacher or a nurse, it's a good idea for them to talk to someone who's been working in that field. I actually did that with my daughter. She's considering, my other daughter is considering becoming a paralegal, and I introduced her to a friend of mine who's a paralegal. They sat down for 2 hours, and it was amazing. Because that really, you can find out what it's really like, because sometimes you look at, you don't really see the true picture of whatever that work environment is until you actually meet someone who's working. So that's another.
It's the same thing with the question that was asked. That would apply actually to anyone here. You know, how can you, I don't want to say talk them into it, but like, how do you sell them on something? Literally just have them come and talk to someone. Whether it be an entrepreneur or like a paralegal coming to a recruiting center, coming to a university. I know you guys do open houses and actually talking to students with the student experience. Like, so many resources.
Point, sorry. Humber's open house is this Saturday, by the way. We're heading up to campuses. Right. Nice segue there. It's a really great open house. Please go to open houses with your children. Bring your family, bring your friends. It's really lighthearted. It's fun. It's a great way for you to get those detailed questions answered. It's a great way to explore the student services that are available on campus and really get toward the campus, because a lot of institutions may offer similar programs, but you want your child to vibe within an institution. You want that institution to resonate with them, because every institution has a different culture, and it's part of the campus life and student experience. So take a tour, please.
And so just to wrap things up, we have like literally 2 minutes, very quickly around the table. Can you share with our audience? Oh, sorry.
I would just like to echo that as well, so we also have an open house this Saturday. From 9 till 3 in Mississauga.
And we'll have all this information posted online.
The University of Toronto Scarborough campus has their open house on November 18th. So you can visit them too.
We'll have all this.
Should I tell you that the Mayor of Mississauga is having a youth event? Just go to mississauga.ca for information, and you can find an event.
We don't have an open house. We come in any recruiting center in campus we need for.
I love it. I love it. So quickly around the table, can you tell me, or the audience, for that matter, what's the best time to speak to your child about what they want to do, and how are you going to kind of position that with them? What's the conversation starter for the children as a parent or as an advisor? I don't even have kids.
Yeah, not yet. I think it's, I don't know if there's a right time to start having that conversation with your child. I think it has to be an odd. I've never had kids. Speaking as kids, so parents in the room you'll probably have a good idea. But no, I think it has to be
parents kind of like hinted on like, okay.
Well, I just think it has to be a continual conversation, right? Like as you grow up, you figure out like, oh, like she likes collecting bottles and getting money for it. Like I love to sing and act and dance, and I also loved science. So in grade 9, 10, 11, I was convinced I was going to go into environmental toxicology. And I was researching all of the programs and all of the requirements. I was that kid. Fine. I did really badly in biology and chemistry in grade 11, and I had a breakdown. And that's when my mom sat me down and had the chat of like, well, what are you good at? What do you like?
Breakdown. I think it was an epiphany.
Well, it was something. No, but we had the conversation of like that. You know, that was a big moment in my life where I realized that I should pursue what I love and what I'm good at. So I pursued an arts degree, which can be for a lot of us, we think, oh, well, you can't get a job with an arts degree. What? How can you get a job if you study theater? Well, here I am with a full-time job, which is I'm very, very fortunate. But I think that we shouldn't be scared of those different options, and that you're going to get such a tremendous skill set, whether you pursue a trade, whether you pursue a college diploma or degree at university, you serve, you're an entrepreneur, you're going to develop so many skills no matter what the field you choose to pursue. And it's taking advantage of all of these amazing resources that are available to you no matter where you go, whether it's through your city, your government, your institutions. We're here to support you through all of that, and I think I'm really going on a tangent here, but I think it's a continual conversation.
Okay, and for Sue?
So I have children, and as I said before, all three of them are so different. My son really didn't like school very much, and I knew that. And he's now in construction in drywall, and just loves what he does. He likes to work with his hands. He loves being on projects. And I just knew that post-secondary, well, he did go for one day. Called me at lunch and said, this is a bad idea. And he hadn't even had a class yet. So it just wasn't for him. And I think everyone knows.
He kind of like,
you know your children, you know their strengths, you know their weaknesses. If they're struggling in school or if they're good in certain subjects, you know that maybe the path is going to be different. And for my son, I thought, apprenticeship might be the path, but in the end, he ended up opening up his own business and doing quite well, and now he's working as a foreman. But the same with my girls. My oldest, the nurse, amazing in school, and I once she decided she wasn't going to be a teacher, that was her path. And then my other daughter, much like you, singing, drama, and she's the adventurer. She's sort of traveling all over the world. She has a degree from UT, by the way. But she's really, she needs to have a little adventure first, and then when she's the one who might possibly look at being a paralegal. So again, you look at your children, you have that conversation, because let's face it, grandparents are asking the 5-year-olds, so what do you want to be when you grow up? My grandson wants to be Batman. So no, that's a little soon. But yeah, so but that conversation, it's funny. We're always asking our kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think it's just one of those things where you're the parent, you know your children. have the conversation, and if you're not getting anywhere, then you're going to have to find their passion and their interests in a different way by, extracurricular, volunteer, working in the summer, whatever it is. You're going to see what they're excited about and what they're passionate about, and then you take them to these people who will help you and direct you to the courses that they should take or the programs. I think
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. If there's any other questions coming in, then we would like to thank everyone, including our audience online, who have witnessed and participated in this live stream. It was very eye-opening and full of information. I'm sure a lot of the audience have learned a little bit of the different pathways that is available in Ontario. And again, thank you for taking time. And thank you to our sponsors. Let's get together for making this happen on National Parent Involvement Day. And we shall see you next time.
I want to thank you so much to amazing 6 individuals at the end of the table here. Actually, you know what, guys? We're all in one room. I know online nobody knows this, but we're all in one room. And the energy here is incredible. There's so much knowledge, there's so much support, there's so much sharing, and this is what we're trying to do, is get this out there into the community. And one of the questions that came up was, how do we reach out to parents, especially the new Canadians, because that is one of their challenges. And that is one of our goals at Let's Get Together, is to find ways to address that. And so these resources here with support and funding, we are going to have these translated so then it can get out into the community and reach those parents who normally wouldn't have access, because recognizing resources are limited on both sides. But I want to thank everyone here. Jocelyn, for moderating our panel. You did a fantastic job. And
My panel's fantastic.